Dear American people, indeed, you should ask the politicians in the United States of America whether this or what is happening in Egypt is a coup, a military coup, or was it a revolution, a second revolution, an uprising by the Egyptian people who hated cronism and the quick move to seize all the important posts in the Egyptian government and give it to the Muslim Brotherhood members, while the rest of the Egyptian people were neglected, left to suffer dire economic crises one after the other. Dear American people, just like you, we Egyptian people really want to be in control of our destiny. We want to have our right to determine our destiny. We are not going to be given from one hand to the other at the orders of politicians from anywhere all over the world. If this is a military coup, can you really tell me where are those opposition figures who've been killed and their heads hanged all over the lampposts in the Egyptian streets? If this is a military coup, would the people who still insist that ousted President Morsi is still the legitimate ruler of Egypt, can you tell me whether they are in their big numbers in Egyptian prisons? No, this is not happening. Even a couple of leaders who were arrested on criminal grounds, they were released. One, because they have spent the legal period in custody. Second, because there were not sufficient evidence that they were criminals. If this is a military coup, would this has been the response? I don't think so. You know better than anybody else that this is the foundation of democracy. Dear American people, the Egyptian military has only sided with the outcry by the millions of Egyptian people whom pictures you've seen all over the streets of Egypt in different parts, who went out to say, even though we've elected you as president, now we don't want you to continue because nothing has changed. Dear American people, listen to the facts and the figures. In the Egyptian parliamentary elections in 2011 and early 2012, around 11 million people voted Justice and Freedom Party, the political arm of the Muslim Brotherhood, into the parliament. They got 11 million votes. Look down the road, 6 months later in the presidential elections, how many votes did Morsi take? Only 5.5 million votes. And that was very near to his opponent or his competitor, General Ahmed Shafiq. And in the final round, that figure jumped from 5.5 million to 13 point something million. Look at the figures. With 11 million in January 2012 to 5.5 million. That tells a lot. That tells of somebody who's lost popularity. That says that a lot of Egyptian people have hated what the Muslim Brotherhood has introduced during the short life of the dissolved parliament. And how did he jump to 13 point something million? Because a lot of the revolutionists have sided with him because his party has joined the revolution on the eve of the 28th of January. So the choice was between the last prime minister of President Hosni Mubarak and between a man whose party and whose movement has sided with the revolutionists 3 days later, not from moment one. And yes, they voted him into office with 13.5 million votes, ballots, but later, 1 year down the road again, almost I would say, the very least, we would say 15 million people. And according to the most optimistic figures, we're talking about 33 million people who took to the streets to say, that's the end. We don't want you anymore because our life is not going down the right way. Please, please, try to understand this and try to persuade your politicians not to impose anything on the Egyptian people. From people to people, we have no difference. We, just like you, want to live decently, enjoy our life in freedom, want to compete for top jobs, for normal jobs, ordinary jobs, want to create jobs, want to take our nation economically to another place because that's what we deserve. Please don't keep that right for yourselves and ignore the Egyptian people.